Hello and welcome to Module 3, the Literature Review. Module 3, we're going to take the work that you did with the informative abstract and the annotated bibliographies and use them as foundations for the final part of this project, which is the Literature Review. Module 3, the work that you do with the Literature Review, in turn is going to be the foundation for Module 4. The intention is for you to be able to use some of your research material in the proposal that you will write after you write the literature review. This following information describes the literature review assignment in more detail. And I will say at the outset that the literature review tends to be one of the more difficult assignments for students, since many students have not actually written a literature review where you may have written a proposal or at least be introduced to the process of writing a proposal. So we've got just a little bit of extra time to work on the literature review and this information that I'm giving you specifically on how to write a literature review. So what is a literature review? Well, a literature review provides information on current publications about a particular topic, the topics that you have just finished researching for Module 2. The literature reviews are highly condensed and heavily documented. It's lots of citations. A literature review is a report that describes the literature on a particular topic. What you do want to do is you want to focus on what the literature says, not what you think about what the literature says. You do want to remain objective and unbiased. You're reviewing the material on the topic. Do illustrate how the sources agree or disagree and how they may overlap on a topic you've chosen to write about. You don't want to structure your literature review like an annotated bibliography. That's important. Sometimes it can be a little confusing. A literature review is not a series of annotated bibliographies. It is a cohesive written document. Don't write the literature review like a persuasive or argumentative paper. You're not trying to make a point. You're not trying to persuade an audience. You're giving them a review of the sources, the literature that exists on your topic. Don't comment on what you think about the literature or evaluate the ideas perhaps mentioned in the research. That doesn't mean you can't look at and describe the methodology and perhaps even be critical in terms of comparing one type of methodology to another, but in general you're presenting the literature. You're not evaluating it. As for the specific guidelines, the format, your audience, of course, will be your target audience or organization. You will include a title page, topic-related title, not just saying literature review. I mean the actual topic will be in there. Put it near the page, top of the page, a few lines down from the title, type prepared for. You don't need the quotation marks, of course, and insert the name of your target audience. Now, in the introduction to a literature review, you want to give some background information on the problem or situation and introduce the purpose of your literature review, indicating the scope of the report by presenting key topics you've identified in the literature. Typically, this is going to be about a half page. In the body of the literature review, you're going to use relevant headings. You're going to discuss each topic one at a time in the body and discuss how the authors of the articles respond to that topic. Relate the sources to one another and to the key points. Point out how authors agree or disagree on the topic. Use transitions to show relationships of ideas. In other words, you want to synthesize and integrate the sources. Use Appendix 2 in the Anderson textbook. It will be very helpful to you at this point. Then in the conclusion, you want to summarize what the literature says about your topic or topics. Remind the readers why this information is relevant and important, and this will be about a half a page as well. If I didn't mention it in concerning the body, typically we're looking at 2 to 3 pages there. So overall, you're going to have a 4 to 5 page paper, not including the title page or the works cited page. You will want to, of course, include the references, include all the sources you cite in your paper on the references page using APA style or the style you've had approved beforehand with me. Remember to alphabetize by the author's last name. And like Module 2, you must have 10 to 12 credible sources. Now, if you completed Module 2, as I hope you all did, you've got those sources sitting there. You might find as you write your literature review that 1 or 2 of those sources drop out, and you may need to replace them. That's fine. You don't need me to give you consent to do that. You're in charge of this literature review. Use the sources as you feel they must be used. Again, the length is 4 to 5 pages, single spaced, documented in the APA style with section headings. Again, the title page and reference page are not included in that 4 to 5 page requirement. As for source guidelines, like Module 2, again, hopefully you've already covered this in Module 2, but we're looking at academic and professional journals, authoritative websites, as we discussed with Module 2, the difference, a credible website versus a suspect website. Books, manuals, company guides, research that's valuable, interviews perhaps. You can even ask a research librarian, and definitely ask the research librarian at the library if you're having difficulty coming up with additional sources. If you had problems with Module 2 coming up with that 10 to 12, you might want to take that extra step and talk to a research librarian. And finally, as far as submitting the assignment, you'll want to submit everything, of course, to the appropriate assignments that you'll find in the assignments link. And in that final step in Module 3, you're going to have a final draft of that literature review after you've gone through the peer review process. You will have a reflective memo, which I will elaborate on later, and a peer review summary page that we've talked about, similar to what we've had with Module 2. I will go over those details a bit more as we progress into the literature review, but this is the end game that you're looking for. And with that said, go ahead and get started on Module 3. Please feel free to contact me if you've got any questions. Make sure you read through the courseware and you read your assignment in the Anderson book. Participate in that discussion, and I'll see you in chat.